All right, good afternoon, traders. It's April 13th, 2026. My name is Coach Carignan, lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. Thank you for being here. Thank you, everybody out there, podcast land, digital land, cyber land. Thank you for being here. All right, let's take a look at the markets and see what happened today. All right, let's move this down. All right, so in the room here, we had what looked like in the pre-market was going to break down. So let me point this out to you. Okay, so we had consolidation underneath consolidation, but then we went around and we ripped. We started a 10-minute uptrend. Okay, and we took out that wick right there. Right there, that was bullish for gap fill. That was a green erases red event. All of the pre-market was wiped out. All right, all the pre-market action. That was a green erases red. We bought calls. Okay, so up here, I'll scroll up. All right, I said as the price continues to consolidate or melt up over the earlier pre-market consolidation observed in the red box right here, we may see significant higher high and possibly run up for gap fill. So you can see us right there in the pre-market just about to wipe out and make that higher high. Okay, it says if we fail to make a higher high, but we didn't fail, we made a higher high. So we're looking for bullish. So if you see right down here, I said I'm buying calls, SPY buying 680 strike calls for a continuation of the 10-minute uptrend right there at the open. And that was posted at 9:32. Okay, I bought some gold, bought some silver, bought some ZIM, and bought some more calls into the close. Actually, in the noon hour. I saw the 10-minute uptrend. I saw the trend day did hold. All right. At first, I thought it crossed over. Then I went back and reviewed it on the 10-minute chart. And you can see right here, it looks like it crossed for the trend day. So you put the crosshairs on here. And you can see the 3 EMA on that candle right there got as low as 679.56. The 8 EMA was 679.55, so they never crossed. 10-minute trend held by a penny. All right, and then you can see here's the rise. You can see the mouth of the 8 EMA and the VWAP line get bigger, 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 and then just grow to beautiful open mouth right here. Got the 8 and the VWAP, a whole lot of daylight showing there between the 8 and the VWAP. If we look down here on the PPO, okay, you can see the PPO is up over 0.06 right through here. PPO is up over 0.06 right through here. Green erases red right over the top of that red candle. PPO is over 0.06 right through here, just melting up. Okay, so there it is, 10-minute uptrend. Traded that bullishly all the way up into the close right there. So that's how I made my profits today. Okay, mostly all calls. You can see right here, 685 calls made 1,950. 680 calls made 706. 688 calls made 20. 695 calls made 27. Gold. I had a short strike on the gold. I took my profit on that. I think gold's going higher, so I want to keep my long contracts. Not ready to put a short strike on it yet. I bought silver. You can see silver moving up right there. So that was the price action for today. It was a melt-up day, and you can see that's where price went all the way up. So into the close on the 10-minute, you obviously got daylight between the 3 EMA and the 8 EMA. That is an uptrend coming into the close. On the 2-hour chart, that could be an exhaustion candle, by the way. So we could find ourselves coming all the way back down. 2 hour chart. 2 hour chart, we've got the 3 over the 8. We have a 2 hour uptrend coming into the close. Okay, you can see the sticks and the 3 riding and the 8 riding up over the 8 EMA. All right, you've got the daylight between the 3 EMA and the 8 EMA. You got 2 hour uptrend coming into the close. On the daily candle, okay, bullish engulfing candle, outside day. Okay, lower low, higher high, closing over a bullish trap, over the hooking 17, darn near the top of quadrant 4, darn near close to converting the downtrend into an uptrend. Right there. Okay, darn near it. There's SPY on the daily chart. We're still in that dysfunctional downtrend. Okay, still in the dysfunctional downtrend, in that the downtrend's not moving down. Price is moving up or melting up or moving to the right. So we're bullish. Let me pan way out here. Here's April. There's the origin of our rally. We're up, we're over, we're back in the top of quadrant 4. We're bullish. We're in a dysfunctional downtrend until we break this high. Okay, so price action, or maybe even this high right here. No, not quite. How much is that high? 685. You could, it's splitting hairs. I just wait for this one. So we're in a dysfunctional downtrend. Definitely not moving down. We're moving up. So there's SPY on the daily chart. Bullish in a dysfunctional downtrend. We're up over the all-time high anchored VWAP. I'm going to bet QQQ did the same thing. QQQ outside day, lower low, higher high, bullish engulfing on the doji candle. Price closing over the bullish trap, over the hooking 17. Up here in the middle or near the top, quadrant 4. That's going to be bullish. We made a higher high. Bullish and in an uptrend for QQQ. All right, on the daily chart. 10-minute chart. 10-minute uptrend, bullish. Get the sticks and the 3 riding up over the 8. You can see the 3, the 8 EMA, and the VWAP. You can see the mouth or the distance between the 8 EMA and the VWAP gets wider and wider and wider right there. That's the picture of easy money right there. And if we look at the PPO, we're up over 0.06 almost all day right there. Got a dip there and a dip there, but all in all, they came back with a vengeance. So QQQ, 2-hour chart. You got the sticks and the 3 riding up on top of the 8, on top of a rising 8. You got daylight between the 3 and the 8. 2-hour uptrend coming into the close. Daily uptrend coming into the close. Weekly. Let me see if we got a weekly candle here. Did this one dip below there? It's curious. Don't know. But almost looks like the weekly has taken out that high right there. So looking like the weekly's now in an uptrend. Monthly has always stayed in an uptrend. So still bullish and in an uptrend on QQQs. Move PPO out of the way. All right. Again, QQQ, origin of the rally here on the daily chart. On the daily chart, we'll pan way out. Here's the origin of the rally back here in April. We're up, we're over. All right, we came down here. Now we're in an uptrend. We're over the all-time high anchored VWAP. We're actually back into the uptrend line. See how we closed? Over the uptrend line, finally. All right, so there's QQQ on the daily chart, weekly chart, monthly chart. Okay, uptrend on the 10, uptrend on the 2, uptrend on the daily, uptrend on the weekly, uptrend on the monthly. Okay, we're all in uptrends. We're over the all-time high anchored VWAP. Okay, so beautiful close for QQQ. Let's take a look at FNGU. Let's see what Stinker did. All right, Stinker put in outside day, closing over a bullish trap over the hooking 17. Still in a downtrend. They got to take out this high right here. You can see Stinker is almost made a higher high. Not quite yet. They're close. All right, so they're not in the... This is the all-time low down here. This is the all-time high up here. This is April. This is the origin of our rally on FNGU. All right, they're not in the lower. They're not in the lower third. They're not in the upper third. So they're neutral, and still in that dysfunctional downtrend. In that price is not moving down. It's actually melting up or moving over to the right. Caught underneath the all-time high anchored VWAP. Back up here, flirting with the 50-yard line or the midpoint right there, FNGU. Nice work on the daily chart. Just a little bit more, and they have an uptrend. A little bit more, and they could be on top of that all-time high anchored VWAP. We'll see what happens. Let's take a look at IWM. Bullish engulfing. All right. Got a lower high. A lower low, a higher high, closing over a bullish trap over the 17, top of quadrant 4. That's bullish. Did they make a higher high yet? Not quite. Okay. No, right here. We got a downtrend. Right here. Bullish and in an uptrend on IWM. So you got a high here. It made a higher high. So we're bullish and in an uptrend. Top of quadrant 4 for IWM. That's a Russell 2000. That's bullish and in an uptrend on the daily chart. Here's the origin of our move, April. All right, coming up here, and we're in the top of quadrant 4. That makes us bullish. We're making higher highs, so we're in an uptrend. Let's take a look at Diamond Dow. And on Diamond Dow, we've got, this is going to be close. The high here is 482.40. The high here is 482.28. Lower high, lower low, closing over a bullish trap, over the hooking 17, over the all-time high anchored VWAP, bottom of quadrant 4, that's bullish. No higher high yet, so dysfunctional downtrend on Diamond Dow. Okay, it's moving up. It's just not moving down right now, currently. So dysfunctional downtrend, but bullish. So everybody's bullish up here in quadrant 4. Okay, let's take a look at silver and gold. So silver, I bought a little silver today on that pullback. I saw price consolidating up here. So I think price is going to come up here to this all-time high anchored VWAP. Silver got a lower high, lower low, closing over a bullish trap over the 17. It's a flat 17, closing under the all-time high anchored VWAP. Okay, I'll pan way out here. Okay, 2022, that's the origin of our move right here. Okay, and we go up here making an all-time high. So here's price action for silver. You can see clearly not in the lower third, not in the upper third, so we're neutral. All right, we got a high, we made a higher high, still in an uptrend. So silver, neutral in an uptrend, closing underneath that all-time high anchored VWAP. Let's take a look at gold. Okay, gold, lower high, lower low, closing inside a bullish trap over the flat 17, under the all-time high anchored VWAP, bottom of quadrant 4, that's bullish. And we made a higher high, so we're in an uptrend. So that's bullish and in an uptrend until we make a lower low. So gold, bullish and in an uptrend for gold. Let's take a look at USO. All right, USO, which has my permission to go to 180. It's up to them. Higher low, higher high, closing over a bearish trap, closing over the flat 17 or the rising 17. Up here in the bottom of quadrant, actually call it the middle of quadrant 4. All right, so that's bullish. We haven't made any lower lows. So bullish and in an uptrend up here over that 4-year high anchored VWAP. Bullish and in an uptrend for USO. That is a 13-year high right there, made 5 days ago, right there. Let's take a look at UNG. Okay, UNG, again, never fails to disappoint us. Okay, so higher high, but also a lower low, closing underneath the bearish trap, underneath yesterday's candle, underneath the falling 17, underneath the 12-month high anchored VWAP. That's this pink line right here. Okay, that is the all-time low right there. That is the 12-month high right there. We're in the bottom of quadrant 1. So that makes us bearish. You can see we haven't made any higher highs, but here's a low. Made a lower low and in a downtrend for UNG. All right, let's take a look at technicals, T2101. And let's try one more time. T2101 right here. Market melted up. Participation in breadth melted up. That's a bullish sign. Look at market breadth holding these highs instead of melting down. A lot of participation joining in. Look at these bullish gap ups and not even filled by the bears. Bullish gap up, hold the higher ground. Bullish gap up, hold the higher ground. Bullish gap up, hold the higher ground. Again, bullish gap up, hold the higher ground. Bullish gap up, not quite hold the higher ground, but still nice work up there, holding those highs. T2101, that's a 15-minute chart for the participation index. All right, so that is bullish right there. That's T2101. T2122. Well, we came down into the seller's chop zone for a brief second. All right, I don't know if we just had an espresso. After drinking that espresso, you can see we clearly did not want to stay in the seller's chop zone. We made our way into the buyer's chop zone, and then, I don't know, it looks like we cleared the whole buy zone to set up camp up here in the overbought zone. That's bullish. Closing up here, making a higher high. There's a high. We made a higher high. T2122, that's bullish right there. T2123. All right, we got a high. We made a higher high. That's bullish. That's an uptrend. Okay, you got price action over the hooking 200 SMA. That's bullish when you're on the north side of that. Let's put the quad lines on here. This is the all-time high right there. It's not going to look pretty, but we'll see what happens. Okay, so we're no longer bearish. We're actually neutral because we're not in the lower third. We're not in the upper third. So they closed today up here in the neutral area, and they're still in an uptrend up over this hooking 200 SMA. 3-bar chart. Let's take this off because we don't need that. And let's pan way out. Here's April, the origin of our rally. We go up, make a brand new all-time high. That was the all-time high. We make a higher one. Pull back, make a higher low. Rip, make another new all-time high for the year of 2026. We're up here in quadrant 4, so we're bullish. We're under the rising 200 SMA. That's not where you want to be unless you're a bear. But the good news is they're not sticking around. It looks like they want to be on top of this. So we could see another round of new all-time highs for T2123. This is a 3-bar chart. They're in a dysfunctional downtrend in that you can see the low, and they're made lower lows throughout this series of red balls that come down. All right, and they have not taken out and made any higher highs yet. Of course, the high to beat would be the all-time high. So we'll see what happens. But that's T2123 3-bar chart. That's bullish and in a dysfunctional downtrend. Let's take a look at FNGU on the 15. Price action for the FNGU for today. What do we got here? We got a low, and we made a lower low. That would put us in a downtrend. But, we got a high and a high, and we made higher highs, so that we left with an uptrend up there. Okay, so in an uptrend, on top of the all-time high anchored VWAP, on top of the hooking at 200 SMA, that's all bullish. Still got a bullish gap over here that hasn't been filled. That's a bullish sign. Bull's still in control. Okay, so FNGU 15-minute. Put the quad lines on here. Might not look pretty, but let's see what happens. Okay, so we're in the middle, all right? So we're neutral, and then an uptrend. We're up over the midpoint, all right? That's a good sign to be up over the midpoint. Because if this was the 50-yard line and you were measuring whether it was half full or half empty, all right, so it would be half full for the bulls because we're up here. This would be the bullish land. This would be the bearish land. You can see clearly bulls are in control still. So neutral and an uptrend for FNGU. All right, I'm going to take questions in the room. If there's no questions, I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Let's see what we can do. Hopefully we get some follow through with that nice candle we had today. So tech says Taiwan helium imports rapidly shift from Qatar to U.S. as global energy flows are rerouted. All right, thanks, CP. Hope you all made profits today. It's a nice bullish day up. Did look like it was going to roll over, but it never did. Had a 10-minute uptrend. It was a good day. I liked it. It was a good day. All right, I'll see everybody tomorrow. All right, 8 o'clock. We'll be back. We'll do it again. Just like we did today. Thank you, traders.